Why does the wizarding world never seem to evolve technologically? Why are there still quills and parchment, owls and fireplaces, when the Muggle world has electricity, phones, and machines that fly to the moon? What kept wizards in a kind of pre-industrial bubble while everyone else raced ahead? If you enjoy exploring questions like this, from the world of Harry Potter to the Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones, then this is the channel for you. There should be a subscribe button somewhere on your screen. If that's your thing, tap it now. And let's dive deeper into the world of magic, myth, and meaning. Let's be clear, wizards didn't stop progressing because they're lazy or foolish. In my opinion, the simplest answer is that magic itself removes the need for invention. A wand and a few well-practiced spells can heat, mend, transport, communicate, and heal. If you can light a room with a flick of your wrist, you don't invent a light bulb. If you can apparate, you don't build railways. If you can send a message by Patronus or flu, you don't bother with telegraphs and phones. Progress happens where there's friction, and magic, by its nature, removes friction. When your society can fix almost anything with a charm, it stops needing engineers, scientists, or innovators. In the Muggle world, necessity drives invention. In the wizarding world, necessity doesn't exist. But there's another reason, and it's buried in history. The Statute of Secrecy didn't just hide wizards from Muggles. It cut them off from the very forces that drive human advancement: exchange, trade, and shared curiosity. Once the wizarding world turned inward in the late 17th century, it became a closed system. And closed systems tend to stagnate. You can see that isolation in Hogwarts itself. It's a 1,000-year-old castle that still runs on candles, fireplaces, and moving staircases. The curriculum teaches transfiguration and potions, but nothing resembling engineering or design or innovation. Muggle studies exists, yes, but as a curiosity, not as collaboration. It's as if the wizarding world decided that everything worth knowing had already been discovered. Culturally, that attitude runs deep. Pure-blood families look down on anything Muggle, including their inventions. Arthur Weasley's fascination with plugs and rubber ducks is treated as comic relief because, in his world, curiosity about Muggles is odd, even suspicious. Enchanting Muggle objects is so frowned upon that it's literally a department in the Ministry. The misuse of Muggle artifacts office. That's not progress, that's bureaucracy guarding against change. There's also the practical problem that magic itself interferes with technology. We're told directly that strong magical fields make Muggle electronics malfunction. Hogwarts alone scrambles compasses, radios, and any modern equipment. Even the Weasley family's wizarding wireless works because it's been magically adapted, not because wizards learned radio engineering. So even when they might want to use Muggle tech, the magical world literally breaks it. Economically, the wizarding world is tiny. A few villages like Hogsmeade, one main shopping street in London, and scattered magical enclaves worldwide. Industrial revolutions require scale, mass markets, large workforces, capital investment. Wizarding society is built on craftsmanship, not factories. Everything is bespoke, personal, enchanted by hand. Wands are individually matched. Potions are brewed in batches. Even broomsticks, mass-produced by companies like Nimbus, are still handmade. It's a world that prizes mastery over efficiency. And that's a beautiful thing, but it also means they never needed to industrialize. You could also say there's a moral reason for it. In a world where knowledge is power, literal power, the Ministry of Magic has every incentive to regulate dangerous innovation. When a 15-year-old can invent a spell in a bathroom and cause havoc, you can understand why the government might be cautious about experimentation. That fear of what magic could become has probably killed more progress than laziness ever did. Still, that doesn't mean wizards aren't inventive. Fred and George Weasley's joke shop in Half-Blood Prince is one of the most creative enterprises in the series. They mass-produce products that mix potions, charms, and chemistry. Broomstick manufacturers constantly upgrade their designs. Even the night bus is a sort of magical public transport experiment. Chaotic, yes, but clever. The difference is that none of this ever scales beyond a handful of innovators. There are no universities for magical engineering, no networks of research, no competition to drive progress. And honestly, that's the heart of it. In the Muggle world, technology exists to extend our power, to make our lives easier by giving tools the abilities we lack. In the Wizarding world, magic already is that extension. It's internalized technology, personalized, emotional, and tied to will. So instead of teaching innovation, they teach control. Instead of factories, they build families. Instead of progress, they preserve tradition. That doesn't make them stupid, it makes them satisfied. And satisfaction, as every civilization learns, is the enemy of invention. The irony, though, is that secrecy and stagnation come at a cost. Because when Voldemort rose to power, the Wizarding world had almost no infrastructure to resist him. The Ministry fell in a day. The newspaper turned to propaganda overnight. Hogwarts was taken, and that was that. In a more connected, more adaptable society, there would have been alternatives, other voices, other channels. But in the magical world, all of that was centralized and fragile. So maybe the Wizarding world's love of tradition is both its strength and its weakness. They survived centuries of persecution by hiding. They survived wars by standing together. But in doing so, they stopped evolving. Could that change? Maybe. Hermione Granger is the first real bridge between worlds, a Muggle-born who understands both sides. Arthur Weasley's curiosity, once mocked, might become valuable. Imagine a post-war world where wizards finally decide to learn from Muggles instead of hiding from them. To merge invention and enchantment. A world where magical interference is studied, not feared. Where charms stabilize electronics and spells enhance technology instead of replacing it. If that ever happens, it will be because someone, perhaps someone like Hermione, finally asks, what if the Muggles had the right idea all along? So why doesn't the Wizarding world evolve technologically? Because magic gave them everything they needed. And secrecy convinced them that was enough. If you enjoyed that video, on screen now I answer, why did the Wizarding world hide from Muggles?